unless you start being good.
Ah, this is true. I have a question about your targeting system for combat. From what I've heard, there will be a soft targeting system. Hey, we already did this one. My question is, how does it work in raids, large group for healers? Will healers have a hard time finding players and keeping track of their group's health? Soft lock targeting doesn't really affect healing because you don't have to target your allies to heal them. You don't target allies for the most part, or most of our heals are AoE, area of effect, or cone effects. To be effective, you might want to stay in the middle of your allies or for AoEs or face them for cone effects. Healers will need to be aware of the environment, of course, and pay attention to the battle. I'm not even gonna comment on this one yet. I want to hear what you guys say. What do you say, Guy?
I think it's a good choice, to be honest, because that way it makes the healing more dynamic rather than just sitting there in one spot watching the bars. And like I said earlier, I've been playing Terra quite a bit recently, and in this game it's all about targeted combat like ESO will be, and the healers, all their abilities except for maybe one or two are AoE, and the way the targeted ones work is you have to mouse over the enemy, or mouse over your friends, and then it locks onto them. And I think that's going to be a hard way to heal people if you have a group of maybe like 10 people in one spot. How are you going to pick which specific one to target? Unless they implement some way to soft lock on friendlies. Even then, I think make them all AoE and cone and make them healers have to move around a lot more is going to be more fun once people get used to it.
Glam?
I mean, about the soft targeting, I like it that way. I mean, it's a focus, it lets you focus, but I like that you're not... I always just hate AoEing in in MMO games now, just because you feel like you're only targeting onto one, but a cleave is more feeling like a cleave with this combat system, and targeting system's just there for lux, in my opinion.
Yeah, when I read this, instantly thought Guild Wars 2. AoE healing, that's all Guild Wars 2 has, and it has that synergy system where if I drop healing rain, or a healing circle, or tidal wave, one of the Guardians can go into it, do their spinning attack, and it'll shoot healing bolts out and heal the allies. But Guild Wars 2 is probably one of the worst games to be a healer in. It's not effective. You're not really doing anything. You're just throwing down a circle and saying, please hit him, please hit him. Like, it's not a viable option. I don't think AoE healing is the way for this game to go. Especially in a large raid where you're more than likely going to have groups divided. I mean, you're going to have mechanics where you're going to have fighting the boss, fighting an ad. You're gonna be running back and forth, paying attention to everything. The one thing they didn't talk about in this question was the guy asked, "How hard is it going to be to watch the group's health?" They didn't answer anything about that. Like, is there going to be small raid window? Like, I don't know. I don't think AoE healing's a very good option.
Well, what I hope is that with the whole active dodge mechanic is that the healing is just based on I gotta keep the tank alive, and I have to do an occasional heal for some kind of, we'll say, undodgeable attack. But for the most part, you're not looking at really heavy single dots that you have to focus on one person if they get it or not. You don't have to watch your raid windows. I think they're trying to get the healer into the real world as much as the DPS. Watch where everyone's moving, watch where everyone's walking. In that sense, instead of just let me park my ass in a safe zone and just stare at my healing bars all day.
Okay?
Well, like you said earlier, where there's going to have to be healers for each group if the DPS is split. Like, most MMOs already do that. They have a healer with the range, they have a healer sometimes in range of the melee. They already have the healers focusing on individual groups of people. And since they're going to have to move around a lot, we don't already know how far the AoE is going to reach. Is it going to be right in front of your character? Is it going to be a circle maybe 20 yards in front of you? Are you going to have to be close to the melee? Can you be far away?
Yeah,
we're just going to have to wait and see how these abilities play out, probably at PAX.
Also, you're assuming a rain. Because that's what WoW has put into your brain. You're assuming. Well, okay. Well, all right.
I didn't play Shaman
Sparking
in WoW.
Shaman.
I played a real
Whatever.
class.
Whatever. Anyways, you're assuming a ground-based hot AoE heal. I mean, what's wrong with it possibly being a AoE instant heal for so much or something like that, where you're not dependent on other people standing in it, you're only dependent on, are you near the people that you want to heal?
That's actually what I've been basing my answer around, because in Terra, that's how the healers work. They have AoE-based instant heals, and none of them are AoE, except for maybe one or two. Or not AoE, but HOTS.
Right. I mean, I think, at least, and I know you say Guild Wars, but I'm saying WoW has drilled into my brain as an AoE heal is a hot, but it doesn't have to be.
I agree. Like, it doesn't have to be. Otaran 13 said it's going to be hard. That's not a bad thing in my opinion. I'll agree. AoE healing is going to be hard. It's not effective. It's not the most viable option to play smart. So, let's say you're in a raid, but only one person's getting hit. Do you have to drop an AoE? It seems like I can't really say a lot more resources, because you have nothing to compare it to, because there's no single targeting.
Okay, you say drop an AoE, but they've already confirmed cone-style heals, so why don't you just stand behind the person that's getting attacked, stand behind the tank, and just throw down a couple cones? I mean, you keep saying drop. Like, who says you're dropping anything? Like, just stand near the people and heal them all, type of deal. Just one shot, not dropping anything on the ground.
Well, I don't mean physically dropping it on the ground, but when you think cone, what are you thinking? Like, when you read that cone sentence, in my mind, I read a cone coming out like a giant V.
Yeah, cleave heal.
Yeah, exactly, a cleave heal.
Yeah, so stand behind them, make sure the people that you want to heal are in your cone, and cleave heal them.
And also, there's not much stopping them from making even though the heals are going to be AoE, they could be smart heals, where they heal only the one or two most injured people. Just because AoE doesn't mean it's going to heal everyone. It might focus on the most injured players in the area of effect.
That's true. And are you already attempting to top healing charts? Why are you so worried about the effectiveness of your heals? I mean, you don't even know the mechanics of the fights, and sounds like you're already worried about running out of mana too early.
I am. Like, I mean, that if one person's getting hit in a raid situation, you would heal the one person. But in this situation where all you have is AoE, do you save it and wait for another person to get hit so you get that added effectiveness, or do you burn it on the one person? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that I'm not talking about, like, when I say effectiveness, I'm not talking about points of heals, I'm talking about the resource.
Right, I know what you mean by that. That's what I was saying about running out of mana. And I think it again falls into what I was saying, that I think it's going to rely even more on the other players, the DPS and the other players, to pay attention to the active dodge and just not get hurt. I mean, that's what I think it is. They'll just have a few unavoidable abilities in there that the healers might have to heal everyone through, and other than that, just focus on tanks. And now that may sound stupid easy, and it may not be that easy, but I mean, that's just kind of how I see it.
I'm just worried that they'll go one way or the other. They'll either focus too much on AoE or they'll try too much to balance. I mean, there was actually something they did in WoW, from what I understand, with the monk healers. The way that they did it was different than they did in any other class. One of the ways that the monk heals is it actually starts beating on the boss or on the enemy. As he does damage, he heals the people close to him. There's a lot of different ways they could take it, because they could put something like that, and they could put something like an AoE. They could put something that makes AoE focus. But it's like we've been saying, it's hard to do that when you can't have a hard target.
Go ahead, Guy.
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just trying to think of something to say.
Something clever.
Basically.
They're talking in chat. There's Whoops. They're talking about how it would be very ideal for PvE, gets the healers in the action a little bit more instead of standing further back. What do you guys think of that? Like, obviously, again, coming from Dark Age aspect, if you're standing back, I'm just gonna kill you with my Shadow Blade. You're an idiot for standing back there. So let's just kick that in the butt. Standing back is not a good idea. But what do you guys think of that? Do you think it's a good idea to get the healers into the fray a little bit more?
I definitely think it's a good idea. Makes them pay more attention rather than just to the bars. They had to pay attention to the mechanics of the fight more so than they're probably used to.
Maybe Gui will like healing again.
Only if there are hands and I can see myself casting the spell.
Well put, sir. Well put.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I can also see the different healers in the raid can be specifically spec'd toward healing either a single person or healing large groups, because as we know, there's only going to be 5 abilities on your bar, 2 for weapon and 3 for your class. You could put maybe for one person, have a small cone AoE heal that heals up but law for a few people, and then have another healer be spec'd to heal large groups of people for small amounts. I think having specified jobs within a healing class itself would be a bit different than people what are used to. Because right now, all we do is this guy heals the tank, this guy heals everyone else. That's it.
Yeah, like I mean, your healers do have essentially assigned roles. But this idea of AoE healing only, do you think it's going to kill the dedicated healer? Like, I mean, if all you can do is AoE heal anyways, why wouldn't you spec DPS so you can assist and spam AoE heal? So that way you have more than just heals on your bar.
I don't have enough information to answer that question.
Speculation.
I don't have enough information to speculate. I mean, we really are dead in the water on that. I mean, like you said, all we know is cone style and AoE style. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Can't help you.
We don't know if it'll be based around HOTS or instant heals, or it will be smart healing targeting the most injured players, or what. We just have to wait and see.